In other news today, the advocacy group My Vote Counts launching a virtual tool to help you track political funding for political parties. It's called Whose Vote Counts. Some political parties have tried to push back against the disclosure of where their money actually comes from. Robyn Pasensie is a researcher at My Vote Counts. Robyn, good evening to you and thank you for your time. We've seen the Electoral Commission, the IEC, making a lot of information available. Every few months we get an update on who's been giving how much money to who. Are they giving us enough information, or do you think we actually need to know the details of every single donation to a political party?
Obviously, good evening, Stephen. Thank you for having me on the show. The long story short is, yes, we need all the information, and the more the better. An example I'd like to give is, you can have all the ingredients for a cake at home. You can see it in your cupboard, but you don't actually have the cake. Somebody has to put it together for you, present it, and you can see sort of the full picture. And that's really what My Vote Counts is doing with this online tool. So in terms of what the Electoral Commission is providing, they are providing the information that they are mandated to according to the law, but it's not their mandate to take that information and analyze it, to do further investigation. That's really the role of civil society organizations like My Vote Counts, and obviously we do it in the interest of the public. So yes, you can go onto the IEC's website. You'll see all the information there. But what we are doing with this online tool is trying to begin to connect some dots for you, providing you with additional information that you won't actually find on the IEC's website, and really trying to wade through some of the heavy data, really, especially for the person who's not acquainted with this kind of information, and present it in an interesting way, particularly ahead of the 2024 elections.
I suppose, if you say to a young child, there's an egg in a chocolate cake, they won't believe you. You can't actually bake the cake without the egg. You can't understand our politics without knowing where the money's coming from.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is take the information, you sort of see it in its raw form on the IEC's website, and we've transform the information. So the IEC here is really critical for the work that we are doing, because we're just building on that, and we're presenting a sort of neater project, if you will, where you can look at that, especially as a voter, and say, this is what you mean when you say this.
So there's a certain amount of information available from the disclosures the political parties make to the Electoral Commission. Do you think we actually need more information than we're getting in those disclosures? At the moment, it's only donations above a certain amount. Should it be all donations?
Absolutely. My Vote Counts recently launched a court application in the middle of May asking for precisely this. And I'll give you an example as to why this could be necessary. So as you rightly said, we only see donations over and above 100,000 Rand. But you as the political party must keep tabs of every bit of private funding donations that you receive, and you disclose that in an audited financial statement to the IEC. So in other words, the donations below 100,000 Rand will also have to be given to the IEC at least once a year in this audited financial statement. When the IEC released their report talking about this statement particularly, if we take a party like the DA, for example, in the previous financial year, they disclosed over 45 million Rand in private funding donations, and we were able to see who sort of gave that donation. But they also had 17 million Rand in donations under the threshold amount, and we don't know, for example, who made those donations. So we're talking about a large sum of money that we actually have no way of tracking and tracing where that comes from. So yes, we see some information. It's useful, but it can be more useful for us if we actually have a fuller picture of the private funding donations that a party receives.
Some of the political parties are pushing back against the amount of transparency there is now. The ANC is. He was treasurer at the time, but Paul Mashatile, then now deputy president, of course, he said that it was going too far. My suspicion is that the DA probably agrees with them on that, Robyn. What does that tell us about these political parties? And it won't just be those two, it's probably all of them. None of them want us to know who pays them.
Absolutely, and I'm sure those parties may even fling out things like, organizations like MVC are focusing on things that are beside the point. There are other issues, but this really is at the heart of politics. We want to know, are you working for our interests or in the interest of wherever your money comes from? And it has been rather interesting to notice that we haven't really seen a political party come out swinging in support of party funding. Instead, we see major pushback, which can only lead us to question, well, then what is the nature of the funding you receive, those large bits of funding, particularly what we're talking about here? Is there something we should be worried about? Why are you so concerned about protecting the donor and the donation that they received if it's above board? If there's nothing to be concerned about, why can't it be made public? Why can't we see it?
Robyn Pasensie, thank you, a researcher at My Vote Counts. Do appreciate the time.